Hello everyone and welcome to a very special mini episode of the Danger Club podcast. My name is Dan Thompson, your regular GM here, and we got something a little special for you this weekend. Paizo were very kind to put us in touch with Nate Taylor from Dwarven Forge. Now, those of you who are regular listeners to our show will know that we played the Fall of Plaguestone adventure a couple of weeks back as part of our Gen Con special. And so Paizo got in touch and put us with Dwarven Forge, who are currently in the process of making some fantastic 3D terrain for the Fall of Plaguestone module. So Nate and I sat down and we had a little talk about what Dwarven Forge do, how they make their terrain, what sort of people use it, and this brand new set, the Fall of Plaguestone set. So I hope you enjoy it. I'll check back with you after the episode. See you in a bit. So I am here with Nate Taylor from Dwarven Forge, who calling in from New York, isn't it? New York, right, Nate?
Yeah, we're in New York City. I live in Queens, but our secret workshop, our lair, our artist studio is in Bushwick.
Fantastic. So we are international today. So if you're really into your gaming, you probably already know about Dwarven Forge. You probably know what you guys do. But for our listeners who are not, for people who have not heard of us, tell us a little bit about Dwarven Forge. Who are you guys? What do you do?
So we are some of the premier creators of 3D terrain for gaming, in particular hand-sculpted terrain. What makes us particularly special is we create these unbelievable hand-sculpted pieces, unlike anything else in the world. And then we sell them available hand-painted, which is a big deal because I don't know about you, but I have a massive pile of unpainted miniatures miniatures from when I was 16 that are made of lead that I still have. They're not getting any more painted. So, painting hundreds or thousands of pieces of terrain on top of that is not happening. So we sell our stuff hand-painted, which is also awesome. But we create 3D terrain and we try and our goal is we're trying to create the tools that you guys, whoever gets it can use to create more immersive, more dramatic, more cinematic, these memorable moments in your table. We're trying to enhance those moments at your table when you sit down with a bunch of people and you want to blow people's minds. We can, because we are through and through gamers who just live for this stuff, and there's a lot of people out there who want their game to just be, that's the highlight of their week, is that game, and so we want to give tools to do that. And
fantastic.
Yeah.
So how many people tend to go for the painted versus the unpainted? Is the painted quite a big market now?
So in the olden days, we only sold, resin was only available painted. Mm-hmm. And we did our first Kickstarter 7 years ago, dungeon Kickstarter. And that was the first time that we'd switched to Dwarvenite, our new PVC blend. And that was the first time pieces were available unpainted. So you could buy it painted or unpainted. And it was cheaper than resin. So we got a whole bunch of new people coming in. I was really excited. And a bunch of people, I don't know, almost half, 40% or something, went and got unpainted because you got a lot more coverage. You're like, okay, well, I could get, 20%, 30% more sets if I get them painted. The following Kickstarter, it was like 80% when painted. Like everybody said, they hadn't finished painting their stuff from the previous year, and we're like, this is a terrible idea. I'm just gonna go for the painted. So pretty much since then, it's about 4/5 of the people get it pre-painted because it just takes time.
I can see.
So the reason that we are talking today, the reason Paizo were kind enough to put us in touch with each other, is that we are both quite into the Fall of Plaguestone right now. If you're a regular listener to our show, you'll know that we played the Fall of Plaguestone on the show over Gen Con weekend. We put them out every day over Gen Con.
How was your experience?
We really enjoyed it. I think we'd forgotten just how brutal Jason Bullman is as a writer of games. It was pretty hard at points. I don't think any of the guys will ever look at a pig quite the same way again after what it did to them, but we had a really good time and it was great to play some second edition. But you guys have been working on some Plaguestone stuff of your own, haven't you? That's your big project right now, isn't it?
Yeah. So funny enough, it's like our lead times are so long that it's like an old project for us now. This means we started last September, right? We started a year ago. So now this is like yeah, we're into our next thing, which the public won't see for a year. But yeah, it was really neat. Stefan, our founder, was at Hawaii Con, which is basically just an excuse to take a vacation, right? It's like, it's a game convention out in Hawaii.
That sounds like a great con.
Or so, so he and funny enough, Jason was there also. So they were there, and they were chatting, and he's like, it's been so like let's just do something, like let's get something together with the companies. And Jason's like, well, actually we're about to launch second edition in a year at Gen Con in 2019. So we're gonna launch. Maybe we do something with that. So we all hopped on the phone and started talking it out, and he started explaining. Plaguestone was sort of it was basically just an outline at that point. An outline with a bunch of big holes in it. And he's like, I'm doing a module for it to kind of kick it off to give people, an easy, quote unquote, easy module to get people started to, dive into second edition. Maybe we could do is, maybe you could build the whole module in Dwarven Forge. And we kind of had to pump the brakes a little. That was like building the entire thing was like just, it would have taken us forever, and it would have been cost prohibitive and whatnot. So we sort of went through it, and he was like, the most exciting for him, sort of the most exciting portion is in the middle of the thing, the pen on the mountain. He's like, well, let's focus on the pen and start there and see what it looks like. So we, and what was fun was it was still very, everything was just kind of amorphous, right? He had kind of a rough idea, and he had a couple of bullet points he was going to hit, but it was sort of wide open. So he sketched out, this is what I want to accomplish in the encounter. And so then we built sort of a really rough, kind of a rough layout based on that, and then worked back and forth with him to kind of refine this layout and then pump in the details. I'm like, what are the, we're going to do some special new pieces for this. Like, what are the things that make this, this encounter particularly special or interesting or whatever. So we got to focus in on some really cool, weird alchemy supplies and the sculptor's experiment. My cat's going crazy. She's jealous. So it was really fun to kind of get to go back and forth and put in some details. I'm like, well, what's in the sculptor's layer? This guy doing experiments. He's like, I don't know, it just needs to look cool, like whatever. Like, yeah, we come up with some neat details that could flesh it out. And then like the plants, they have these mutant plants out there. Once again, he had sort of idea of what they would do. He's like, vine lashers, grabby, and poison wounds put out spores, but I don't know. He's like, I don't know what they look like or how it works or whatever. So it was fun. We got to kind of design the world hand in hand. And then what was neat is once we had a build done, we did the whole build out in Dwarven Forge. We took a bunch of overhead photos of it. Then his cartographer drew out the map in the book based on our build, so that build precisely. And so then we broke it down, and we're selling it in sets, so you can buy the four different areas of the pen. You can buy independently, or you can buy the whole thing to connect it together.
That sounds like a really collaborative process. Is that fairly standard for the way you guys work with developers, or is that quite specific to working with Paizo and Jason?
Well, we haven't collaborated with other companies much.
Okay.
We're pretty insular. But it was a wonderfully collaborative experience working with Jason. The guy is a genius, and also just super, he wasn't afraid to kill his darlings and just let it be sort of free-flowing, like what was going to create the best experience for the, he was constantly thinking about what's the experience that the end user is going to have. Like, are people going to have a good time? Like, how do I make sure this is going to be fun on the table? Was his primary worry. So it was fun to be able to collaborate back and forth with him. And for us, we're a wildly, maybe too collaborative of a company. Everybody has a voice and input, and we're just sort of throwing lots and lots of crazy ideas into this creative soup, and sort of then ladling it out into something that's manageable and tangible for backers. But we're really, really into a collaborative workflow.
Fantastic.
As an artistically based company, right? We're 10 artists in the core office, and then a bunch of satellite artists. So it's really important to me to create an environment where all our artists can flourish and build off each other's ideas, and collaboratively create something that's bigger than what just one person sitting in their basement can only do so much, but it's suddenly a whole bunch of people building off each other's ideas and refining each other's ideas and giving criticism and critique and, improving it, tearing it down to make it builder, make it bigger, better, just yields the final product that we get out into the world, which has everybody's little touches, and every little department is adding a little something along the way.
Nice.
So presumably this is a set that you can use for the Fall of Plaguestone, and then you can use for other adventures as well. You don't just have to use it for Plaguestone.
So all of our stuff that we make is wildly modular and reusable, right? Because it's expensive, right? Premium terrain, our terrain, it's very expensive. It's an investment. So if we sold you something that you could only use once for one adventure, like, who's going to buy that? What's the time? So we want to make sure it's an investment to buying this stuff. So I want to make sure if you're getting these tools that you can use them for a variety of things. So all of these pieces, the Plaguestone sets, you can use it to build a Plaguestone, but you can use it to build anything, right? And a lot of times people do things were totally unexpected, right? We weren't, this is supposed to be like, this is a mountain, or it was suddenly they turned it into a cave, or it's a beach, or it's Mars, or whatever, flip it upside down and use it backwards and paint it purple and do, all this cool stuff and sort of make it their own and do whatever with it. It's very much, like Lego. They say, okay, you can make a moon buggy, but also you can make a million things. You can make whatever you want with this, and people do and use it really unexpected ways. And it was really important to us to try and give people as many options as possible, and stuff that'll spark, if there's different cool ways you can combine things, then they'll come up with all these ideas, and maybe it sparks adventure ideas on their own. And
I mean, having run a lot of Pathfinder, if you're going to have one standard piece of terrain that you're going to reuse, an alchemist lab is a pretty good thing to have. They come up quite a lot in Pathfinder.
I don't know, it's just cool, just in general, right? Like, just that where experiments are happening, that's where dangerous and interesting things are occurring. Yeah, for sure.
You guys have been going for a long time, so you must have made a lot of sets over the years. Other than this Pathfinder set, what's your favorite thing that you've made over the years? What really jumps out to you?
The castle builder system that we did 3 years ago, I think is one of the. I'm really proud of how nobody in the world has made a 25 millimeter scale modular castle system rival this thing. The capabilities of what you can build with these castle pieces are it's just stunning. And there's some of these photos that pop up on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter are just like, it's just mind-blowing. People are still, and people are still finding new ways to make these staggering strongholds. And, that's one of the really rewarding things for us is seeing these photos on social media of the things that the things that we've given people these tools, and suddenly the things that they're creating. It's so exciting. So one of the castle stuff definitely makes some of the sort of most striking photos of, I don't know, these builds that people are doing, just absurd. Some of these things are, and not just giant ones, but these really sort of cool little, here's a little section of a thing that works. And the other set actually happened at the same time. Well, I guess with these, the Aranthor Mountain set that we did at the same time is one of my favorite sets because it's super versatile. It's basically just rocks, right? Modular rocks. You can do everything with rocks, right? Rocks are literally the foundation of kind of any build. You can fit them anywhere, and I just constantly see them popping up in all these builds, and just they work anywhere. You can have rocks show up in your cavern, they can show up in your dungeon, they can show out in the wilderness, they can be in your town, they can be anything. They pop up all over the place.
Always need rocks. We noticed recently, because we were at the UK Games Expo a few weeks ago. Really good show.
We got to go out there. You have to tell me, should we go out there next year?
Definitely. It's a brilliant show. We had a great time there. Paizo were there. We met Jason there. They were having a good time. If you're going to do a UK show, UK Games Expo is the one to come to. Absolutely come along there. And while we were there, we saw a lot of people with physical terrain, but we also saw a lot of products like Roll20, like Fantasy Grounds, sort of online gaming tabletops. So it made me wonder, how has the industry changed in the time that you have been doing this sort of stuff? Is there still a demand for this physical terrain next to these online versions?
What's awesome, right? We're in this renaissance of tabletop gaming right now, right? Where there's more and more cool tools that are letting people game when and where and how they want to, right? It's just, I have a friend who'd never played D&D before 2 years ago. So now he's playing 4 campaigns, right? One of them's online with some people in Canada, and one is half online, half in person, and 2 are in person. Just like he's sort of an example of like there's all these different ways that he can play, and he's one is just voice chat, one is video chat, one is in person. And so I think the tools are out there that are letting the hobby expand more and more and more. And some of it, is diverging a little bit from being just sitting around the table. In my mind, it was always a bunch of us sitting in the basement, like playing together. And I still, of course, love the in-person experience. What's been really helpful for us is the rise of streaming, right? The actual play movement, people watching people play D&D, which 10 years ago I would have said that is like there's no way people are going to sit and watch hours and hours and hours of other people playing D&D computer. But it's hypnotic and it's cool and it's exciting and it's a great thing. So streaming has really helped us a lot because it certainly helps streams to, the streams look much cooler when you have a physical build, right? Something that helps the audience quantify where the combat's happening, helps the players quantify, it gives everybody something to look at on the table. So again, particularly Critical Role, Matt has been using our stuff since season 1, pre-Critical Role he was using it. So it helps lots of people see our stuff on these streams and get excited by it. So even though there's more and more people playing less physical, there's more people getting exposed to it through these digital things alike. And then they go, oh, well, I want to have my game needs to look like that, or it's whatever. And we're happy to help provide those experiences.
Oh, fantastic. So if people are excited about this Plaguestone set, how do they get it? You're having a campaign at the moment, right? You're taking pre-orders right now, aren't you?
Yeah, so basically our general model is we're a very, very small company, and it's very expensive to make these, making these molds for these pieces is very expensive, and producing them in large scales is expensive. So anytime we can, we try and take the money up front, so we make sure we don't want to, if we order 1,000 of a set and nobody buys it, we're in a lot of trouble. Or conversely, if we order 1,000 of a set and 5,000 people want it, we're also in trouble. So it really helps us if we kind of know up front what the interest level is and have some of the funding to fund the production. So we're doing a pre-sale on this series, which is going until the end of this month. So where are we? It's like another week, I think.
Another week to run, I think. So people just go on the website and they can pre-order it on there, right?
They go to dwarvenforge.com and we have a big banner up there that says Plaguestone pre-sale is live. And what's neat is we're just taking a deposit, right?
Okay.
You click on the sets that you want, and it's like $50 deposit for an encounter and $10 deposit for an add-on or something. And then the sets will be manufactured and shipped around April. We'll send you an invoice for the rest of the stuff, and then we get the invoice, we ship it out, and everybody gets their stuff and they can play with it. In a perfect world, we would have had all the sets ready for Gen Con. Like, people could have picked them up at Gen Con, get their second edition rulebook, get their Plaguestone module, and then play right then and there. But our production time is so long. It took us a long time to get everything hammered out and for Jason to finalize. He was right up, maybe even past his deadline of when he had his and was still like tweaking the bits, and so it wasn't feasible to have it ready right then and there.
I guess the nice thing is, even though if it's not out at launch, there's longevity to these things. People are going to be finding this module for years to come. The modules that we're playing at the moment on the show, they're ones that came out 6-7 years ago, but they're still new to us, and they're new to our listeners as well. And I think Plaguestone is going to be the same, especially with it being the very first of the modules to come out. There's going to be people discovering Plaguestone and this terrain for a long, long time.
People will definitely go back and play it some more. How has second edition treated you? Have you been enjoying?
We are really loving it at the moment, and we're big fans of first edition as well. We've really enjoyed that, but even as big fans of it, you start to see the cracks in it. It's first edition from Pathfinder is D&D 3.5 that was converted over to a new system, and not everything about it that could have been changed maybe was changed, and it's a 10-year-old system, so it's showing its age. Second edition, it moves faster. It's certainly, for a podcast like ours, it's really good to have a game that is that fast-paced where we're not having to look up rules all the time. The simple action economy is really great, but it hasn't lost that depth and complexity that really makes Pathfinder stand out as a game. We have just gone through the process of converting all of our characters to second edition characters. They'll be coming out on our main show really soon. The main show is going to go to second edition. And in every case, we were in some way able to create these characters as second edition characters. And these are characters that are drawn from across the 10 years of Pathfinder. You know, we've got people using class options and classes that don't exist in second edition yet. And yet we were able to recreate them just out of the core book using the options that are available there. So it's really deep. It's a great game. And it's only going to get better as it grows. So yeah, we're huge fans of it on the show.
It seems like everybody that I talk to seems, and then you hear this weird grousing out on the internet. Where I haven't actually met any of these complainers, but it seems like, you know, the feeling of complaint, but I haven't actually met any of them. And I don't know if it's just, do you think it's just people reacting to change?
I think it's something that you get whenever you have a new version of anything. Whenever you have a new system, you get these sort of weird edition wars. And you get it the same with people who are really into D&D 5e versus Pathfinder, and they've all got a side they want to pick. We play all of those systems. We love them. We really enjoy it. And Pathfinder First Edition is still a great system, but it's still there. There's no reason you can't just play those adventures if you want to. There's loads of good adventures. They're relatively easy to convert to Second Edition if you want to, but you don't have to. You can play them as First Edition. It's still there.
Those books all still exist. Like, it hasn't been wiped from the memory banks of the human race.
I can never get it because you can't have played everything from Pathfinder First Edition. If all you want to do is play Pathfinder First Edition, then there's not enough time in a human lifetime to play everything that has ever been released for it. So there's always going to be new First Edition content for you to play. But Pathfinder Second Edition is here, and there are lots of exciting things for Pathfinder Second Edition as well. And one of those is the Fall of Plaguestone, and hopefully lots of people will be playing it, and maybe some people over here in the UK will be playing it with the Dwarven Forge set. I assume it is available here in Europe. Can people get it over here?
Yes. The challenge for us is shipping.
Sure.
Right? It's we have our stuff is heavy, and it's bulky, and so it's our European shipping just gets very expensive. We were working on improving our. We've been working on having a warehouse in Germany.
Cool.
And sort of do some more local shipments that reduce the pricing, because it's just international distribution is rough.
Yeah, I know Paizo have a lot of the same problems when we talk to them about it. We're lucky here in London. We got a lot of really good gaming stores here, so we tend to be able to get stuff brought in and buy it direct from them. But for some stuff, we just have to pay the postage if we want it. But we're used to that. We do it all the time.
You can come over to Gen Con and buy some stuff in person.
Yes, that is hopefully going to happen one day. That is something we are working on. Not sure if we're going to be able to do it just yet. But in the meantime, if you are interested in this, you can head over to Dwarven Forge's website. You can pre-order that Fall of Plaguestone stuff. You've got 1 week left to do it. We're going to stick the address in the show notes for this episode. It's going to be going out as a standalone episode. Nate, thank you so much for joining us. And we should say thank you to your cat as well. What's your cat's name?
That's Squiggy. We have Squiggy and Sage. Sage is the ninja. She hides. She's all black and has a +7 stealth, and Squiggy's the big doofy boy cat.
Well, Nate and Squiggy and Sage, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with the rest of the pre-sale. Hope it goes well.
Thank you. Have a good one. Happy gaming.
Thank you again to Nate and his cats for joining us for this episode. If you are already a listener of the Danger Club podcast, you know the deal. There's a new episode coming out on Monday. If you're new, if you've just tuned in because you wanted to hear this adventure, hello, we're the Danger Club podcast. We play Pathfinder every single Monday, and we follow various adventures, including the Fall of Plaguestone. Go ahead, hit a subscribe, and hear a group of actors here in London having a very, very silly adventure. Or even go back to the beginning and listen to every one of the 64, I think, episodes that they've gone so far. We've done a lot of episodes. We've had a lot of adventures. We would love to have you along with us, because if you join us, you can hear some ridiculous accents, and you can hear some really, really bad dice rolling, and you can hear us play Fall of Plaguestone, which is pretty fun. Catch you all on Monday for some more adventure. See you then. In a world of heroes, villains, 6 British actors will come together to play Pathfinder. It's sort of like D&D, but also really not like D&D. Join Falter.
I immediately regret this decision.
Caragor.
Oh, I see you, Kenneth.
Velda.
Behold my arcane powers.
Shania.
Yes, I've cracked the case.
M.
No, kill him.
And the Dungeon Master for an actual play podcast that takes adventure seriously. Available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and from DangerClubPodcast.com. Danger Club, let's roll. God, doing that voice hurts.